Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and I am filming from outside. It's like 60 degrees today, which is amazing considering we're like a couple days from December. I've been seeing this tag go around by Lisa Papez, um, from Lisa used to be Supporter Tarot. Um, And I thought nothing of it when I first saw the tag, and then now it's been going around, and a lot of people are doing it. So I decided to go ahead and do it. But it's broken into four categories: deck preferences, buying and backing decks, reading style, and reading for clients. And so yeah, there's quite a few questions. So let's get into it. And now stuff's popping up on my computer that I gave it plenty of time to pop up before, and now it's coming up. Let me know. Any second. That might be it. Okay, so let's get into this. So the first, and if you see a shadow, that's my umbrella because the sun is right here. So I wouldn't be able to film out here had I not put the umbrella up. I'm like, I'd rather have the shade than the sun directly on me. So the first category is deck preferences. And the first question is, what are your thoughts on illustrated minors versus pips? And I'm, to me, fairly new to tarot. So I have to have the illustrations. I have bought a couple Pippish decks. Um, and let me, one of them is the uh, Antique Anatomy Tarot. And I've wanted this deck since forever. Um, I did edge them in like a rose wine color, if you can tell. Um, and I think it goes really well with the backs. They did bleed a little bit, but I don't care. But they are very pippish. Um, I still haven't really worked with them a whole lot, but there is a little bit of stuff going on here that you can add to the pips. Pretty good. And that actually got me, before I actually got that deck, um, put that back in there. Well, I actually saw, actually on her channel last year, the 5 cent tarot, and this deck was, I was just like, I want it so bad because first of all, it was an all animal deck, and I hadn't had any all animal decks, and then I realized, and then it was like pippish, so it was kind of like my foray into pips, but with a major difference. This is the, I didn't realize until after the fact that she had a Kickstarter version of the deck, and then it actually came out with a second edition. So I have the second edition. This is lavender. It was edged in lavender as well when I got it. And I'm just trying to find, these are all, it's Ace of Needles. And there's needles, buttons, and matches. Um, and then I think teacups for the cups. Here's the 3 of matches. I love that it's got the animals on it. I love that there's keywords on it because this, to me, would be a starter deck if you're trying to learn to read pips, because it's got the keywords on it. I really, really love this deck. And then it actually has them in reverse as well, the keywords on it. So I really love that because of that. Yeah. So who knows, in the future I may read more pip decks. As of right now, I'm enjoying the sceneries on them. Yeah, there's another 5 of matches, and of course it's the 5 of wands because that card is following me around this year, like horribly bad. So that is the long and the short of the very first answer, and we're already 5 minutes in. Wow. Yeah, this was my foray into pep decks. There's the book. Okay, so what's the next question? Next question: how do you feel about keywords on decks? For somebody that's just starting out, like I said, with the 5 cent tarot and the keywords on them, if you're trying to go to a different style of deck, I think they're helpful. I really like them on, and it's here. Sorry, I keep getting up because I set them all down. The Tarot of the She. I love this deck. Love, 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 love this deck. And it has keywords on them. I've trimmed it and edged it in this dark purple. But this is a Hero's Challenge. Winter's Bite. And these are warriors, makers, dreamers are the swords, and dancers, I think, are the cups. I haven't worked with it in a minute, but yeah, I love where loss resides. And that one is Judgment, the Judgment card. But I've seen a lot of these videos, and I keep hearing, oh, I hate keywords on decks. It doesn't go with what I think it does. And I read intuitively. So a lot of the times, if it's got a keyword and I feel like it's something telling me something different, I'm going to say there's something different. However, keywords to me on decks aren't just in the way, or if they are words that are different than what we deem of as we know of that card, to me it's just another extension of what it could mean. Not, oh, it's wrong keywords. It's another extension of what it could mean, and it just adds to the library of knowledge I have about that particular card. So I really don't mind keywords. I mean, that's probably the only couple of decks I have with keywords on them. But for me, it's if the deck calls to me, whether it's got keywords or not, whether it's bordered or not, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's my answer. How do you feel about borders? Can't believe that. So I have literally only trimmed 2 decks. One of them was the Tarot of the She because it was too big to handle. When I got it, I really didn't feel like I was going to take the borders off because I'm going to sneeze, sorry. Because it just felt so spiritual to me that I felt like it was sacrilegious to edge it or trim it or anything. But then the box almost seems too small for the deck. And so it was, like within 3 or 4 days, it was scratching up and scuffing up the sides of the card. So I had to trim it to make it fit in the box better. But then the other deck I have, which is the Tattoo, the 8 Queens Tattoo Tarot. I love, love, love this deck. But even seeing the walkthroughs of it, I was like, I have to trim this. And this was my first trim job ever. So it's a little smaller than I initially wanted it to be. I did cut off some of the image, but the main part of the images are still there in the cards. And I love these cards. But this is what they used to look like. These are extra cards that came with it, like original artwork. Those borders are humongous. And I hated them. Hated them with a passion. Because from what I've learned, buying the amount of tarot decks I bought this year, the sheer number I bought this year, and I did edge that in black as well, is that I hate big white borders. Hate them. To me, it's like suffocating the image, especially if it's a colored image like this. Why would you put borders on beautiful artwork? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Especially big, huge white borders like that. It just takes something and you're distracted by the borders. That's not to say I don't have cards with borders that I actually really like. It's just I found that the huge white borders I hate. My very first deck, and I did not bring it out here. But my very first deck was the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith. I have not trimmed it. I did edge it to try to embalm with it, which I never did. I hate the borders, and that's probably part of why. Hold on just a second. I had a bag flying away. That's probably part of why I don't ever work with it, is because I hate the borders on it. But here we have the 2.0 tarot. It has thinner borders. The sun's trying to come in now. But it has, if you can notice, let me see if I can find one that it works well on. This one. The color extends outside the border. I'm going to have to pause it for just a second, because my umbrella is shifting. Okay, I'm back. So the color extends beyond the border, so I don't even notice those ugly black lines on there at all. This is, if I have to have a border, this is the kind of border I would want. Look how it extends beyond that one. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm looking for this strength card. It extends beyond, and then the color changes at the bottom to green, and then to yellow for the bottom. But yeah, that is that one. It extends beyond. Beautiful. So those I don't mind. I do have another. It's the Smith Weight Short tarot deck. It actually has thin black borders, and I love it. It to me changes the whole dynamic of the card with a different border, or like that. The 2.0 is my favorite RWS clone, whatever you want to call it. But the huge white borders, I hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them. And to me, if you're going to put beautiful artwork on a card, don't, I lost my book. Don't negate that beauty with huge white borders. It just, it takes something from it. And I don't like it. So yeah, that's the long version of that answer. What makes you decide to modify a deck? I actually have quite a few that I've edged, just because when you get them, like what I just have, the 8 Coin Tattoo Tarot, it was screaming trim me and color me, because the edges, just like the border, was screaming look at me, look at me, look at me, because they were stark white. And that is why I'm just like, no. I just, no, I couldn't do it at all. So yeah, that's that. It just depends on what deck it is. Like this Tarot of the Sheet, I had to trim it, because it was horrible. Now I do have the Universal Celtic Tarot here, and again, it's like the borders were screaming, we're not done. So I edged it. The backs are this beautiful green, and I edged it in a dark, beautiful green to match. It is so beautiful now, so beautiful. You can't even tell it was never edged. That's the extra card, so if it looked weird, that's why. But yeah, it just depends on the deck. I even edged my favorite, the Lightseer's Tarot, because I'm like, the borders just, it's like the deck was halfway done, and then they just stopped at the edges. On some decks. Now, some I won't. Like my Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I will never touch it. The 5 Cent Tarot, I will never touch it, just because they are special, because they were Kickstarters, and yeah, I don't want to mess that up. What kind of cardstock is your favorite? So this is the mass market version of my Light Series. It is my favorite deck ever. Um, I don't know. I'm not much for cardstock. It can't be paper thin. I have a deck I've never used just because it's so thin. I'm afraid I'm going to rip it because it is literally paper thin. I don't like too thick. My True Black Tarot, I love the deck. I really use it because it's so thick. But this, I don't know what cardstock it is. I love it. I love, love, love everything about this deck. And this is, and I know she threw in a bonus question about sniffing your decks. This is the only deck I sniff. And I've said this before because I feel like this is my soul deck. It has a distinct smell to me. Uh, and I don't know what it is. I really don't. It doesn't smell like paper. Oh, it does smell like paper, but it does. It's got this extra odor to it, and I don't want to say odor because it seems like a bad thing, but it's got this extra scent that just, even if I've had a rough day, even if I just pull it out and smell this deck, it's instant calm, and I don't understand what it is. I don't get it, but yeah, that's the only deck I sniff. Um, but back to cardstock. Like I said, I'm not one for cardstock. I have a lot of cards with different cardstocks. The only other deck that I absolutely adore the cardstock on is my Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. Um, I don't know what that is, but it's awesome. 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 It's edged in red. These cards are, of course, gorgeous. Um, yeah. Everybody's seen these as well because they just came out. But yeah, I don't know what the cardstock down that is. That's probably one of my favorite cards in there. But it's amazing as well. And those are probably my two favorite decks. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But yeah. So moving on to category 2, buying and backing decks. Where do you go to look for new decks you may want to buy? I go to Amazon.com, Etsy. I actually buy directly from someone's site like Anatolian's Oracle of Echoes. I bought that directly from her site. And then like I said, I've just been doing tarot last year and a half. So I'm really just starting to kind of delve into different things. I love MakePlayingCards.com. I'm kind of addicted to looking at stuff on there. I actually have 2 decks coming right now. I probably bought 7 or 8 decks off there this year. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, that would be where I would go. I actually bought this deck, the Life is Like a Board Game. I think that's the last deck I bought on Etsy. Actually, really, I'm digging this. It looks like it's the Monopoly Tarot. It's very simple, and most of them have just words on them. And I'm pulling up all majors. Yeah, I must have them in order. Or start in order. But yeah. Yeah, I love that there's just, if you want to pull out just a quick read and just get a quick message and then go, this would be the deck to do that with. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's got all the different colors in there. That's pretty cool. But that was the last deck I bought on Etsy. And I love Etsy because it comes in a timely manner. And you don't have to worry about it. I've gotten a few independent decks off of there. A few this year. Okay. Where do you go look for new decks you may want to buy? What has been your best and worst Kickstarter crowdfunding experience? Other than having to wait because I'm so impatient, I would say not I haven't had any. I've only backed 4 decks. I've gotten 2. One is the 5 cent tarot and the oak ash and thorn, and I love them both. I have 2 more coming, hopefully before December ends. One of them I'm a little upset because they've moved on to another project. It seems like that while they're waiting for the decks, we're getting very little updates. And it just seems like that the person isn't really invested anymore because it's like, well, I've already got these sold. I've already got this done. And I know I'm new to Kickstarter and everything. It just seems like there's no kind of real communication there. So that kind of scares me a little bit. But because I already paid for the deck. So it's just a waiting game at this point, and that thing just went all the way around into my face. Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm back again. So yeah, I know I'll get the deck. It's just this impatientness, and I'm a Virgo, and I want everything to go smoothly, and I don't feel like this person is putting in the effort they should be putting in to alleviating our minds that everything is fine. And then I see them posting things on other sites. Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I'm like, but what about the decks? Like, there's no information on it. So that's just it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. But I'm still praying I get it because that is the second deck I was like searching out to get last year and realized it wasn't even available. And then I found out they were doing a Kickstarter. So I've been waiting on this deck since March. They were supposed to originally do the Kickstarter in March, and then COVID hit, and they waited till the end of May, and then it ended in June. So yeah, I'm still waiting on the deck, and I'm not a very patient person, so maybe this is my my learning to have patience. But that's the only crowdfunding experiences I've done as Kickstarter, and I've only done it 4 times. So, how do you decide what decks you want to buy or back? Something in the deck calls to me, and a lot of times I will wait a few weeks. If I see the deck, like the Encore Tarot, the second I saw this deck by Tarot Machete. The second I saw this deck, and it's edged in red as well, I knew I had to have it. I knew I had to have it. It was not in print. I went searching for it. It was nowhere to be found. And I was so bummed because I was seeing walkthroughs of it, and I'm like, I want this deck so badly. And it was nowhere to be found anywhere. Then, with all the other synchronicities for the 5 cent tarot and the other deck that I'm still waiting on Kickstarter, there were some synchronicities there because I wanted all 3 of these decks around the same time. Look at this magician. Jeez. I love him. Oh, yeah. Come on. This deck is gorgeous. Gorgeous deck. This is like one of my preciouses. One of my precious babies. High Priestess. Beautiful. And this was actually a compilation of several of his decks reimagined. So you get a little bit of other decks in there as well. But yeah, I could show this. I've said it before. Any chance I get to show this deck, I will. Because it's glorious, it's glamorous, and beautiful. But now I forgot the question because I got distracted with the deck. And it has borders that I don't mind either. And they're all different color coded. The red ones are wands. The gold ones are pentacles. The gray ones are majors. The green ones are coins. Oh, the brown ones are cups. These are coins. And then the blue is swords. Yeah. I don't mind them at all, though, because they match what's going on in the photo. Just throwing that in there. How do you decide? So when I first saw this deck, I'm like, I have to have it. It was like something in my soul was calling to the deck, and the deck was answering that call. That's how I decide my decks. plain and simple. From the inside I saw this deck, I knew I wanted it. Decks like the Antique Anatomy, I had been hot over for a very long time because I'm like, but it just kept coming up to me, it coming back to me. Like it would find its way to me to remind me, hey, you haven't bought me yet. So that's how I've been buying decks this year, is especially with my Light Series. It's another one that as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it. And I've not been disappointed with any deck I bought except the very first one I've gotten, which was the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know anything about tarot. I didn't know anything about Rider-Waite Smith. Nothing. And that is probably the only deck I have that I will never work with. So yeah, it's like a soul calling. When I get the deck, it's calling me for a reason. And I found that when I get these decks, that I feel like my soul is calling out to it, and it's calling back to me, or responding back to me. There's a reason for it. And when I get the deck and I start working with it, I'm like, oh, that's the reason. So there's always a reason why these decks are calling to me. Always. So yeah, that's how I pick my decks. How do you decide what to? Okay, so how much is too much to spend on a deck? I have two decks that were around $100. One is the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. I think it was like $120 because of tax and shipping from overseas. And then there's the True Black Tarot, which I should have brought out. I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but everybody's seen that. I think it was like $98, like right at $100, almost. Beyond that, unless it's a deck like that I have to have the deck. And I knew the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. I almost missed out on it because by the time I realized it was up for sale, because I'd been stalking it for a little bit, just joined the party on the watching of the cards and stuff. And by the time I realized it had gone up for sale already, it was already sold out. So then I was stalking Avalon Cameron and Anatorian like every day. Like, are they going to post more? Da da da. And then she wound up posting 100 more, which sold out in like less than 7 hours, I think. But as soon as that popped up, I jumped and bought one because I knew it was going to go out. I knew she wasn't going to make any more. And so I'm one of the lucky ones that got that deck at the last second. Yeah. But to me, it's always going to be about somebody's preference. Like, I could say I'm never going to spend $300 on a deck. But if I found one that spoke to my soul in such a deep way that one did, I may just spend that money on it. I don't know. Normally, I would say $50 is my max. I don't think I've spent more than $55 on a deck other than those two. Most of my decks are like $20, $30, if that. I think the Kickstarters were all $50. The very last one I just got that just ended, I think it was $45, and I was shocked because it was cheaper than most of the Kickstarters I've had. And that is not working out again. I can't see. Oh my gosh. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. This is longer than it should be taking because the stupid umbrella keeps moving and this thing goes right in my face. So, let's see. What other question did I answer? So, do you have a deal breaker cards that have to feel right to you to pull the trigger on a deck? What are they? The only card I really ever look for in a deck is the Eight of Swords. It's not a deal breaker because I actually have a couple decks that I don't like the Eight of Swords. Don't really care for it, but the deck is beautiful and it reads well. But it's not a deal breaker because, like I said, if the deck is calling to me, it's calling to me for a reason. And that's the only reason I'm going to buy it is if it's calling to me. But normally when I look at a deck, I look at the Eight of Swords and say, does it look like this? Because this is like my, what do you call it? This is the standard for the Eight of Swords that I look for in a card. Now, I will say my Universal Celtic Tarot, and I'm sorry I don't have it on top. I'm going to have to search for it here. Is this Eight of Swords, which is different to me. But as soon as I saw this, I'm like, I'm buying the deck. I don't care what the rest of the deck looks like, but the rest of the deck is amazing. But this Eight of Swords is spectacular. I think it's gorgeous. It gives you a different take that she knows she's free of all the ties. She's not blindfolded. She's not bound. She has wings. She can fly off from the swords at any moment, and she knows it. And I love that concept and idea. And then when I started looking through the deck, when I got it, of course, I saw these other amazing cards, and I'm like, why isn't nobody talking about this deck? I've not seen anybody hardly talk about this deck, and it is freaking beautiful. Beautiful. And it is a Love Scarabero deck, which I said this last night, and this is the other reason I fell in love with it, because this Empress is amazing. Amazing. Beautiful. But yeah, I'm just like, nobody's talking really about this deck, and I don't know why. And I noticed, I said it last night, I did a walkthrough of a new deck I got. If somebody wants me to do a video on all of Scarabero decks, I will, because I realized I had a ton of them. Like, most of my decks are low Scarabero. I don't know why. It's just, that's the decks that are calling to me. I don't even realize half the time that they're low Scarabero until I get them in the mail. It's weird. Okay, that was the last one in, oh my god, on my second category. So we're on to category 3. Reading style. Do you have a daily tarot practice? Not really. I do pull a card of the day every morning. For the last several months, I've been pulling a card at lunchtime to see how the rest of my day is going to go. It says, if not, when do you read for yourself? I do pull a card every morning, and I do a week ahead spread every Sunday. And that's about it. I do once in a while read for a couple other people. That's about it. What's your go-to shuffle style? I'm a riffle shuffler. And I thought about this. I'm only I thought about why I'm a riffle shuffler. Riffle. Yeah, love it. Riffle shuffler. And it got me thinking, back when I was a kid, I used to go spend the summers with my dad. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 4. So I used to go spend the summers with my dad, and he was playing poker one night with some friends. And of course I was there because he had us me and my brother for the summer. And I thought it was hilarious because as soon as we started playing cards, because he let me play, because I was a little girl, and all the men are like, whatever. Well, I actually won. We all played for pennies. But as soon as we started playing, I was riffle shuffling the cards. And I'm like, and now that I'm thinking about it, as I was thinking about this question, I'm like, I have no idea when or where or how I learned to riffle shuffle, but I've been doing it my whole life. As long as I can remember, I've been riffle shuffling. And I have no idea where it came from. Maybe a past life. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I'm a riffle shuffler. And I just thought that was odd that, I'm like, I don't even know where that came from. I've just been doing it my whole life. I don't even know who would have taught me. I don't. It doesn't make sense. But yeah. How do you choose which deck you're going to work with? I choose whatever deck calls to me that day. Usually it's a couple weeks time span. Like I've been working with the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot last couple weeks. And then today I used my new deck. Usually I'll work with the new deck for a week. And then whatever deck calls to me after that, that's the deck I'll work with. Yeah. Do you purchase professional readings for yourself? I've had one. Usually we do. I had free readings online, but I've had one professional one done with tarot. I've actually had a couple readings done that weren't with tarot, but So I've had 3 professional that were bought and paid for readings, but only one was with tarot. Um, Usually I'll go online and somebody will be practicing for free, and they'll practice on me, and then I'll practice on them or whatever. So yeah, why pay for it when you can have somebody do it for free, right? Um, do you use tarot for anything other than divination? Um, I don't know what that means. um, I am trying to combine it with my mediumship abilities. So I don't know if that's for. I would assume that's divination as well. And then I do it for like ancestor path working. I don't know if that's considered divination as well. I would consider it divination. Anything that do with spirituality to me would be divination. So in that respect, no. Um, but yeah, that's that question. And then category 4, reading for clients. How did you know when you were ready to read for clients? I still don't think I'm ready. I've read for quite a few people over the last year, free, because I don't think I'm ready to charge for it. I don't know that I ever will be, because I'm trying to open up my mediumship abilities, not rely solely on tarot. So uh, I don't think that you're ever ready for it. It's just like when somebody says, "Oh, you're at this age, you should be having a baby by now," and you're like, "Oh, I got to get my ducks in a row. I got to get this. I got to get this." You're never ready to have kids ever. If you wait around to have kids or read tarot, you're never going to do it. So I would say just dive in, do it. Most of my issues were with ego, with trying for perfection. And then Spirit was like, no, you got to just dive in and do it. You got to learn from what you're doing, learn by doing. And so that's when I started jumping in and reading for other people. And it's actually helped quite a bit. Do you do anything special to set up for a client reading or for yourself? No. If I do a client reading, it's over the phone, on text or messenger or whatever. So there's nothing to set up. When I do go before, the only thing I really do before I pull for somebody else or for myself is I will center myself, get grounded, take a few deep breaths to center everything, and then ask my guides to work through the cards with me to bring this person a message or myself a message that needs to be read. So yeah, that's that. And sometimes if I haven't used the deck in a while, I will run some Palo Santo around it. That's pretty much it. Do you let your client handle your cards, aka do you shuffle and ask them to draw and cut, have them shuffle, or do you do it all? I can tell you right now that I'm still so skittish and new about it. I do understand that there's energy in the cards. So to me, if they touch the cards, it's mixing with my energy and it may give an inaccurate reading. So I don't do client readings face to face. If I did, I probably still wouldn't let them touch the cards because I still don't trust the fact that when I throw the cards down, I'm like, is it my energy? Is it their energy? Is it a combination that's coming out? So maybe as I get more used to it, that might change. But for now, I wouldn't let anybody touch my cards. Are there any questions you would refuse to answer for a client? I have this one friend that is constantly asking about her relationship. And the first couple of times I did drop some cards for her, they said stuff she didn't want to hear, which was true, which came true. But I found that unless somebody's really open to it and they're not really seeking a specific answer, then it's more acceptable to read like for relationships or pregnancy or things like that. But as of right now, I'm not reading those kinds of things because, first of all, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. Um, I'm not uh, a law person either, for legal matters or anything like that. To me, it's about helping you grow. You may be asking about him, but the cards are going to say, this is what you need. Forget about this factor over here, this person. This is what you need to work on. And sometimes I don't like that. So, yeah, that would be my answer to that. And then the last question, do you have any advice for people who want to start reading professionally? I feel like I missed one somewhere. I don't think I did, but do you have any advice for people who want to start reading professionally? I don't, because I'm not reading professionally myself, so I don't think I'm in a place to give someone that advice. Um, yeah, so that would be my answer to that. So yeah, that was my long list of answers to Lisa Papez tarot #tarot FAQ. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you please hit that notification button so you're not missing out on any future videos. And I'm sorry this was so long between the wind and the sun. It's been crazy. But yeah, I will see you guys later.